Klim Kostin, fan favorite. I totally understand why. But you can find guys like Klim Kostin. And the big thing is, I think Edmonton has a huge opportunity now to find a right winger who I think can be more productive in the postseason than Yamamoto was the last years. Because if you wanted, hey, Yamamoto, I know he scored 20 goals a few years ago. This past year, he was banged up in and out of the lineup, and that does matter in the regular season. But 2 years in the playoffs, he's been healthy. In 2 years in the playoffs, he hasn't done very much. And I just think when the thing about Yamamoto that wasn't going to change was his size. He's 5'6". He's 150 pounds. The fact that he's even in the NHL at that size is remarkable to me. He plays on the inside. He plays hard. I have no problem. I think he could contribute again for Detroit. But I don't think Yamamoto was going to help you long-term, just like I didn't think Yesapoli to help you long-term. For 4 years ago, I said, when the Oilers are a good team, I don't think either one of those guys is a top six. And I thought Yamamoto, maybe because of his smarts, maybe, but he's a complimentary top six. So now Edmonton can go out and they'll look for options because there'll be some. They'll be cheap, right? Obviously, everybody knows about Connor Brown. And do you want Connor Brown? Of course you want him. But does he want to sign a 1 year? Because that's all he can sign. If it's a bonus-laden contract, is a 1 year. And so he'll have to weigh the options. I will say this in conversations again with people around the Brown camp, he's considering it. Because he looks at Edmonton, and everybody does. Yeah. There is no better place in the NHL if you're a right winger who wants to come in and feel like, you know what? If I believe in my skill, I'm going to get to play with either Draisaitl or McDavid or both at differing times of the season. Like it's because look at the right wing depth. You got Zach Hyman, and then you got Derek Ryan, and you got Raphael Lavoie. That's it. That's all they got. They got no real right wing depth. So, you know what? I think Edmonton might look to sign 2 right wingers in free agency. And, if you're Connor Brown, you're like, I don't have a lot of competition there. I know if I come into Edmonton, I am starting in the top 6. And if I believe in my skill set, I'll remain there all year long.
Yep. 100%. Just catching up on what everyone's saying. Davin's in says not bothered that Klim Kostin is gone. I think for the most part, people in the chat, like Joel's in says he'll miss Klim Shady. Sam Squatch sucks to lose Kostin. It does suck to lose Klim Kostin on an emotional level. Like as a fan, he was a fan favorite. Mm-hmm. You loved having a guy who dropped the mitts, funny post-game little clips and all of that stuff, scored some big goals in the playoffs. It looked like the Oilers had a diamond in the rough there in terms of the bringing him in as a guy who, he was on waivers a couple days before they traded for him. So it sucks to lose a fan favorite, but good organizations can find replacements for guys like Klim Kostin. And at the end of the day, like if the cap would have gone up $3 or $4 million this year,
he didn't even signed already.
Yeah, right. It would have been done. It's just
like Ken Holland today said, he's competing against the offer of the KHL. Now, my understanding is that Klim Kostin was offered a KHL contract in and around the 1.75, give or take.
Yep.
Right, plus or minus a bit. And now he didn't accept it because I don't believe he wants to go to the KHL. I believe his first option is to be in Detroit, and I expect he will sign in Detroit. I'd be very surprised if he didn't sign in Detroit. Now, he might not get the 1.7, but he might get 1.5, right? He might be closer, so he's like, you know what, it's worth it for me, whereas Edmonton, in a flat cap, they didn't really even have that much space to do it. So Edmonton, if you're looking right away and you're saying, hey, who could be a replacement? Well, it could be Dylan Holloway, because if you look at their left wing depth chart, you've got Kane, you've got Fogle, you got Nugent Hopkins, right? So Dylan Holloway can be that guy internally right there. By the way, his cap hit's going to be around 925. Then if you're looking, because maybe they want to try Holloway on the right side or move Fogle. Fogle can easily play the right wing. And like you could have Holloway, McLeod, and Fogle as your third line, right? Then you can have Derek Ryan as your fourth line right winger. So then you need a fourth line center. You need a second line right winger. And you need a fourth line left winger. Another name out there who I had written about a month ago that I said I don't think he's going to get qualified. And I think he is 6'2", like Klim Kostin. He's 210 pounds. He skates really well. And he scored 16 goals back in 2021. He's coming off 2 tough years in Anaheim. Max Comtois is a player. Now, he's not as good of a fighter, but that's a small part of it to me.